one of the things that we decided to talk about when it came to Sons of the Forest was, is it a survival game? But our first subject is, what was missing when the game first released in our eyes? There was definitely one thing I noticed. Water. You could drink it no matter where you found it, unless you found it from the ocean. So any stream, you could just drink from it. There were no ramifications. And it always bothers me when there's not dangerous water that you have to fix. You know, if it's all potable, some of that difficulty curve goes away. What was one of the things that you noticed when it first came out that kind of ruffle your feathers, Dump?
I think it was, honestly, no fall damage. That was kind of weird.
Well,
Like,
I have a clip on my channel that says a week later they fixed that.
Hey, we're talking about
right.
when it first dropped here, buddy. Don't you dare.
I know. No, you're right, because the first time we played, we were like, no fall damage, and we were jumping from cliffs and bounding down the mountain to get to our campsite. And of course, you know, we could have chosen not to exploit that, but that's part of it. You know, being able to fall 5 stories until your legs break, no problem.
I felt like I was playing Daisy expansion on the first week again.
All right, we got a comment from Tweaks. Yes, I like the more realism, as well as those issues are definitely something I agree with. Yeah, the realism is key. It's one thing that the Forest was missing that I enjoyed from the final product, was the realism of the Forest. And I had almost assumed that Sons of the Forest would just kind of carry those survival difficulty onto the next one, but no dice. It was kind of a weird experience playing on the hardest setting and not having that happen. Which moves us to our next point. What has been implemented that you noticed that made the game feel more like a survival game and less like a horror game?
Well, there are a couple of interesting situations here. One of them was, we can catch fish now in fish traps.
Right? Yeah. They can catch up to 6. Isn't that what you discovered?
Yeah, definitely. The other thing that I think I have noticed is that I believe the mutants, or whatever they are actually not necessarily smarter, but they're more hesitant now. Like, I am actually seeing them actually block and go at me right after they block. And even if I attack them when they block, sometimes they don't immediately attack back. So the attack pattern is sporadic enough. I don't actually feel like I can predict how to beat this one NPC the same way every time. I used more Molotovs, grenades, spears, and whatever I had to throw at them than I did previously when we were playing. Because previously, we were just running around with our little survival axes going, ha ha ha! But now,
yeah,
I feel like I'm pulling everything out of my arsenal. Like, I'm literally all like, grenade! And instead of saying grenade, folks, I said run, because that was the only thing I could think of.
Hey, we did! We just ran in different directions. The one thing that really bothered me about the first game is they don't like water. So on that center island where we were all building, they would just stand on the beach going, and scream at you, but they weren't a threat. You could throw pebbles at them and laugh at them. And we had assumed that when we started playing, that as long as we had water, we could build our defenses on one side and be completely safe. We were wrong. They will find a way across that water, whether it's jumping from tree to tree. They will find a way to get to you if they can. Yeah. It's very frustrating.
Definitely. They really know how to do that, exactly what you said, jump tree from tree. And if you're walking around your base camp and you're not paying attention, they will drop on you, and you won't even know that that's what happened. It's no longer just the monkeys. The cannibals or mutants or whatever they are literally do the same exact thing.
Yeah, I was surprised when you're like, they're in the trees. I'm thinking, oh, you mean the scaredy golems? That's what I call them, because they're always walking on the hands of force. You're like, no, y'all. And this one, for me anyway, is an up and a down. And I think the fellows with State of Survival can definitely agree with this. The up, water now hurts you if you don't boil it or treat it. The down, you just go, ugh, and lose health. There's no other negative effects. and I wanted to turn it to red and dump. If you could install a negative effect from drinking undrinkable water, how would you do it?
I would like to see maybe a negative ailment given to you for a short amount of time. When that negative ailment, in my eyes, would be is a loss of food nutrition when eating. So let's say, for example, food gives you like, I don't know, 2 bars when you eat it. How about if you are suffering the effects of poisoned water, you only get 1 bar of food. So it really makes you go question, do I really want to drink this dirty water before eating my meal? Maybe not.
I would say, kind of looking at it from the, let's look at realism and then kind of back into it from there. What happens if you drink water out of a puddle? Well, there's 2, maybe 3 outcomes. Since we really don't have a disease thing going on, we'll leave that one out. And then it's you're going to throw up or it's going to be coming out the other end. Since we don't have the other end covered, I guess we have it covered, but it's not part of the game. I think that you run a risk of throwing up, and then you also lose some food that you have in your stomach as well.
Yes. Now, see, I'm on board with that because you and I had talked about it before. I do like the idea of Dubgraws as far as immersion goes, because that absolutely makes sense that there'd be some parasites in there that would keep it's harder to get that nutrition. But I thought an easy fix would be what they did in the Forest one when you ate raw food, that if you drink too much bad water, there's a chance that you'll just be like, and then lose water and food. The other thing that they've improved is the mutants themselves. Since release, they've added a couple more boss variants that you encounter underground, and they are absolutely terrifying. And that was one of the things I missed when it first came out. Of course, one of the biggest ones that you don't see in Sons of the Forest are the Virginias. Like, there is a Virginia, but there was a cannibal called the Virginia, and those things were terrifying. They had like 6 legs, 3 torsos sewn together. Absolutely terrifying. Well, the twins are back, and a few of the other infected cannibals are back, and we're going to see more variety with those cannibals. And I'm hoping that if we progress more, we'll see them on the surface instead of just underground. So today we covered the growth of Sons of the Forest. And it wasn't just to promote the game itself. It was to say that I'm really proud of the dev company for doing as well as they had, especially since the Forest took so long to fine tune. I'm just glad we're not in that same development cycle. It makes me excited because I think that they've set the standard for some of the survival games that are going to be coming out early release this year onto how they should update the game and how frequently they should update the game.